Back at camp with Outdoor Solutions from Field to Table. We're going to pan fry today. So we're going to pan fry some tomato, some wild boar, and we're going to use some panko breadcrumbs. We're going to run through the standard breading procedure, and we're going to do a demonstration with pan frying. So we're just going to take these plum tomatoes and just slice them. And then we're going to put them into the flour. And then we're going to run them through flour, egg wash, which is egg, and we're going to add some milk to this. And we're going to whisk this up. So whenever you do this, you want to have a pan big enough, because after we do the tomato, then we're going to do the wild boar cutlets. So this isn't just for this little bit of tomato. And then what we do with this is we have a pan that we're going to use here to take them out. So we put them in the flour. And the big thing here is to knock the excess off. We put them in the egg wash. If you don't knock the excess off, what happens is you go like this. No matter what you're breading, if it's a piece of veal or pheasant or duck, that egg goes off and then the breading doesn't stick and you get a poor product. So you want to make sure that you get all the excess flour off and you get it totally coated with egg wash so you don't have any dry spots. And sometimes with the skins of tomato or peppers, it's a little more difficult. And you keep one hand dry, one hand wet, so you don't get these big wads of breadcrumbs all over your fingers. Now, we're using panko breadcrumbs. You could use fresh white breadcrumbs made in a food processor. You could even take potatoes, leftover mashed potatoes, and roll them into croquettes and bread them in almonds. So there's all different kinds of things that you can use. Pan-fried oysters, you could use cornflake crumbs instead of panko breadcrumbs, and they're really, really good, really crispy. So when we bread this now, these panko breadcrumbs, they're going to stick really nice to this. You can bread ahead and put it in the refrigerator so you can have it in place ready to go when the hunters get back in the camp. So it's breaded nice. We want all of that. You could even, if you didn't feel like it was sticking enough, you could put it back in the egg wash and double bread it. Now with a tomato or a vegetable that has a lot of moisture in it, you got to be careful when you pan fry it because, that really starts crackling. Pan frying is more oil than saute or stir fry, but a lot less than deep fry. Deep fry is where it's totally swimming in the oil. We've sweated our onions pretty good. We got a little caramelization in there. They're all different sizes, onions and leeks. We're just utilizing this product. So now we're going to take some really nice sweet wine, if I can get this open. Where's my apron? Whoa. Cut. 20 minutes later, we got the cork out. So we're going to take some nice sweet wine. We're just going to pour some in there, and then we're going to take that and let that cook down, cook those onions and reduce it, make it nice and sweet. Now we're going to run some wild boar through the standard breading procedure. We have a nice tender cut from the top end of the loin where it went into the neck, where the two muscles lay like this. So we took part of the neck muscle, even though it's again, going to be a little tough. We're still going to pound it out here. So we butterflied that out open. So we're going to cut 3/4 of the way through, all the way through, and then butterfly these open. So you could take this and lightly pound it with your knife, and then take some fresh prosciutto and some pesto and close this up and saute it and make venison saltimbocca, wild boar saltimbocca, turkey saltimbocca. So we're going to make cutlets out of these. So these are more like medallions, and all I'm doing is just butterflying this 3/4 of the way through. And then what we're going to do, we have a beautiful camp here in Texas, and we have a wonderful kitchen. So we're just going to cover this with saran wrap, and then we're going to pound it lightly with the bottom of a saute pan or a meat mallet. I'm going to use this on the top, the pieces that look a little tougher. I'm going to use this side, this ridge side. And when you do this, you want to try to hit it even so that the meat is even all the way through. You're not going like this and pounding, an uneven piece. And you don't want to make them too thin, but the idea of this is to bread it, pound it, and now you have a 2-ounce piece that's run through the standard breading procedure, and it looks like a 4 to 6 ounce piece, and you got beautiful plate coverage. So again, this is beautiful spring boar. We can season this meat before we dredge it in the flour. Now, if you were making apple fritters, you could use cornstarch or powdered sugar on the apple before you dipped it into the flour and then into a batter. So the flour helps the onion ring or whatever it is that you're coating with, helps the batter stick to the product. But you've got to get the excess flour off. So one hand dry, and we don't have any flour spots on there. It's totally coated, and we lay that into the breadcrumbs, cover it. Wild boar, this would work good with turkey, pheasant, fish, of course any poultry. So there is our boar cutlet. And with other breadcrumbs, the finer breadcrumbs, what you can do with them is, as you start to get little tails in there where the egg wash started to clump up, you can re-sift the breadcrumbs so you don't have lumps in there. Because there's nothing worse than having lumps, big pieces of egg that are stuck to your product. And when we pan fry, we usually always have the product coated one way or another. Now, sometimes when you put items in the egg wash, what you got to look out for is if it folds over like this. When you open that up, then it's dry on the inside, and then the breadcrumbs don't stick to it, and you got a poor product, and then the chef makes you do it all over again. Nice cutlets. We're at our onion sauce again. We've sweat that onion in its own juices and that white wine. We got some heavy cream here, which we did get the container open this time. And we're just going to pour that right in there. And we're going to let this cook and sweat down and reduce in the heavy cream. Whenever you cook with heavy cream and you're going to let that cream boil, you want the pan twice as deep as the heavy cream. Because if it boils over, again, it can start a fire. So that oil is looking good. It's just the right temperature. It's not going to overcook and make that cutlet burn up. But I am going to turn the heat up a little bit, because as I put the meat in there, the cold meat in there, that's going to cool the oil down, and we don't want to cool it down too much. Otherwise, the breadcrumbs absorb the oil, and then we have a greasy product. So cooking's a lot like hunting. We're using our senses. We're watching the action, we're listening to the action of it cook, and it's all about feel and timing and temperature. So we don't want those panko breadcrumbs to overcook. before that piece of boar is done. So it's almost there. So if I put another 2 pieces in there, that would cool that oil down too much, and then I wouldn't get a crust, a nice crust. And you got to be careful if you use tongs because you rip the crust off. So in this dish, we would make the sauce on the side versus a sauté dish. The sauce is prepared right in the pan. So again, a nice golden brown, pretty quick. So just to cool that down a little bit, I'm going to add another 2 pieces and lower the heat just a hair. When you use the oil like this, you only want to cook items in here twice. I mean, in hunting camp, you can cook it multiple times. But if you want a beautiful looking product, you get a bunch of floaties in there and they stick to the second round. So twice and that's it. Strain the oil and then start over again. Use the same oil, but you want to start over again so that you don't get all these burnt pieces on the outer surface. So if you get it brown and too brown and it's not cooked, you could always put it in a pan and finish it in the oven. And I like to put it on either right onto the plate or right onto a drip pan. And that takes the oil. We never sauce these where we put the sauce on the top because the sauce would just make it soggy. And you can see some of the floaties in there. Coconut shrimp, basically all same exact type of cooking. Apple fritters. So after we get our boar cooked, then we're going to take and do the rest of the tomatoes in there. So what I mean by straining it would be, we have a pot right here with the wire sieve, and you basically just pour the oil through there. It collects all the floaties. You pour the oil right back, wipe the pan out with a paper towel, pour the oil right back in, and you're good to go again. Cast iron, of course, works wonderful. When you use tongs, you got to be careful when you pick up oil because the oil runs down the tong and runs down your wrists and burns you. Talking from experience. So that's our wild boar. And now here we have our green fried tomatoes, only they're red. And we're going to use these along with our wild boar, put together a dish just to utilize all the product that we have around in the house. So we've got a plate here. We took our onions and our leeks and white wine and we cooked them in some heavy cream. We cooked them down for a sauce. So we're going to put some sauce on the plate. Then we're going to take some asparagus and layer that in the sauce. Then we're going to take our pan-fried cutlet, put it on top of the asparagus because we don't want it laying in the sauce because we don't want it soggy. We're going to top it with some pan-fried tomatoes. And then we're going to take a slice of brie cheese that we basically took a wedge or a ring of brie cheese, and we're going to put this right over the top. We're going to throw it in a 500-degree oven, and hopefully we don't break the plate or burn the sauce. And we're going to see if we get this cheese to melt over the top of all of that, make a really nice gooey dish. Top it with some crispy fried leeks and some cracked peppercorns, and some chopped chives. So our sauce is boiling really nice. It's reducing down nice and thick. We've got to give it a taste, of course. Nice and sweet, nice and sweet. So now to plate. take our onions and leek sauce with some sweet white wine. I'm gonna make 2 plates. And again, with this is wild boar, but you could use turkey breast, pheasant. Then we're going to take asparagus. We're going to take this blanched, par-cooked, shocked asparagus, put it on our sauce. The reason why we're going to do that is because we want the cutlet to stay up above the sauce. So we're going to take 2 cutlets. We're going to eat well tonight. We're going to top these cutlets with tomato. This is the one that we double breaded. Time to put our cheese over the top, making sure we've got everything here. And we're going to sprinkle a little cracked pepper on top of that. And now into a hot oven. We don't have a broiler. A broiler would work better, but we're going to give it a shot and see how it works in that hot oven. I'll give you the honors. Let's check this baby out. Let's see what we just created. Oh, look at that sauce.
Oh, that looks good.
We didn't break a plate. I love it.
It's not out yet.
No, that's right. So we're going to take this. Remember, these plates are smoking hot. So that's our onion sauce with our cutlets.
Wow, that looks so good.
And this is utilizing all the product here in hunting camp that we did some of our methods and techniques on. Our oven is off. Look at that sauce is boiling nice. That goopy cheese on top. And we're going to take a little bit of more greenery here just to doctor it up. And some of those crispy fried onions that we put on top. What do you think?
Now that is not just a piece of pork thrown in a cast iron skillet with butter.
No, that's a wild boar with a lot of butter. Remember, the plate's smoking.
Seriously, I mean, this really hasn't taken that long to do. I mean, there's a lot of different steps to it. But, I mean, that looks like something you get at a really nice restaurant.
Well, what you can do is all of this stuff can be done ahead of time. You blanch and shock the asparagus and hold it. You crispy the leeks and you hold it. While the sauce is reducing, you pan fry the product and put it together. And if you had a broiler or something like that, you could fire them under the broiler and melt that cheese a lot faster. But the 500-degree oven worked, and the plates held up. They didn't break. So we're going to eat really good at hunting camp this week.
So can we quit talking and start eating?
Go for it. I've been eating all along the entire way. But yeah, I'm going to let you. Oh, yeah. Don't touch it. I'm going to keep this for some of the hunters. And are you going to share? Are you sure you're going to share?
I will actually. Well, since you did all the cooking, I will share it.
Okay, great. So we've got pan-fried tomatoes, pan-fried wild boar, brie cheese, asparagus, smoking hot.
Ooh, it's going to be hot.
I want to have some of this asparagus with that cheese. Looking good.
So Deborah's going to be proud because I ate a tomato. I usually don't eat tomatoes. I just told Miss Linda that today. Dude, that was so good.
Cheers.
Well, that's good. Thank you, buddy.
Thank
Always
you.
good to be in camp with you.
Good hunting and good eating. I got some peppercorn. That tastes good.